Welcome to No Fun Channel. I'm Felix, and this is YouTube channels I watch. Last but not least is ShxtsnGigs. The main reason I did them last is because they actually are the ones who inspired me to not give up. They did an episode where James was talking about how he got started, where he just was doing reviews, and I actually started off doing reviews, and I'm just from the way they talked, they just kept going and didn't give up. And then he went and got Fuhad, and things took off for him. So I'm just hanging in there, trying to keep going. Now, do I expect to reach the level of success they have? No. Would I like to get some success at this? Sure, I would. Who wouldn't? But that's not the main reason I watch them. I started watching them on TikTok. I started seeing clips of their stuff on TikTok, and I laughed every time I saw one of their clips. So I decided to look them up on YouTube, and I found them, and ever since then, I've been following them. Now, I've been following them for, I know, at least over 2 years. But online, their oldest video is 2 years old. And I know for a fact they've been doing it longer than that. And I also know they archive their videos. So after so long, they archive them, which is not a bad idea. If you want to see the older videos, you got to go to Patreon and see them. And also on their Patreon, they have a log cabin. I can't think of the full title, but their Patreon show, their Patreon exclusive show is doing phenomenal for them. So yeah, they are very inspirational, and that's one of the reasons I like watching them, because they're very positive, they're funny. I laugh every time I watch them. Recently, they've got more into having guests on. Now, I will say I don't know any of the guests they've had on. To me, they seem more British famous, if you will. If they're known over here, I haven't heard of them yet. But also, I'm old, so I'm probably just out of touch. Now, one of the things I do like about them is their format. They have like segments they do. They do like trash news every now and again. They do where they read off Instagram stuff or even Reddit stuff, and they just talk about it and go back and forth and read different things. One of the things I also like is they play games on there. Recently, they've been playing a game called Back to School, and the other one's called Who Am I? Now, the Back to School I don't play because from the first one over to now, I pretty much fail every single one. The Who Am I do really good on. James reads a story he created about a character, and you have to guess who the character is. Now, every now and again, he changes up the style, how he reads it, but the format still is basically the same. He just reads off something about a character, and you got to guess who it is. And the character can be real, it can be an actor, it can be a historical figure, it can be anyone. He did the one about Kanye West, and I didn't catch on to anything. I think he'll include songs if it's a singer, and I don't really know Kanye's songs. Another fun thing about that game, Who Am I, is Ellis has never won one until recently. And what's funny, the others weren't getting it, and I got it probably about the third or fourth sentence in. And then at the end, Ellis got it. And that was the first one he won, and everybody cheered for him. Even I cheered for him. I was happy for him. Because they've been doing this since the beginning of the year, and that was the first one he got. And like I said before, one of the great things about them is how positive they are, and they're hilarious. They're fun to watch. Even when they have guests on, they try to do stuff to include the guest. They have a thing where they have their people say stuff, pretty much a roast. They have their guests get roasted by the fans of their show. And also this year they started a React channel, and I follow that channel as well. And once again, it's just them being them. It's hilarious. It's funny. It's interesting. And to see their reaction to different things that are going on has been priceless. Recently, they did the optical illusion, and they were listening to the sound, do you hear Yancey or Laurel? And Fuhad was the only one that heard Yancey. But when he switched ears, which ear he was listening with, he heard Laurel, and that freaked him out. It actually freaked them all out. So it's just them, high energy, having fun and being positive. Now, I do know James is streaming. Remy is streaming. And I believe Ellis also streams. But Ellis also recently started a podcast. I couldn't find the name of his podcast. I wanted to include it, but I couldn't find it. But if someone knows the name of his podcast, please let me know. But he recently started his podcast. And what was funny is when he was talking about why he hadn't started sooner, it's because he was in his own head. He basically got in his way and was stalling himself out from starting the podcast. And when he finally did it, they cheered him on. They were positive. Like I said, that was a very positive thing for them to do. They cheered him on. They didn't like shoot him down or anything. They were happy for him. They were clapping for him and everything. What was interesting to me about that is that when he was talking, I could hear myself discovering why it took me so long to do stuff. And I think that's why I relate to him so much, because when I hear them talk, it's like, and they talk about why they don't do stuff, it's like, that's exactly why I don't do stuff. Now, just to be clear, I'm not one of those people going to think if I meet him, we'll be fast friends. No, again, I'm realistic. But yeah, the show consists of James, Fuad, Remy, and Ellis, and just the four of them together is an awesome combination. I hope they're doing this for a long time. Of course, if Ellis's podcast takes off, he might, have to leave and go do his own thing. They could have him back on as a guest once he blows up. Now, if by the off chance you haven't heard of ShxtsnGigs, which I have learned is possible because even though they have over 1 million followers, a lot of people don't know every single YouTube channel that's out there. If by some off chance you stumble across my video looking for a recommendation, I highly recommend ShxtsnGigs. They'll have you laughing. They're very positive. They have different guests on. And if you have the money, check out their Patreon because they have actual Patreon exclusive shows on there. So they're trying to do it all, and I commend them for it. So definitely check out ShxtsnGigs. And as always, I'll make sure to include all their links in the description below. Before I bring this one to an end, I would just like to thank everyone for watching this series. And if I do come across other YouTube channels I start following, I'll do I wouldn't necessarily call it a review. It's just why I watch them kind of thing. I guess in a way it is a review, but it won't be a negative review. It'll only highlight the positive because honestly, I'm just trying to be a positive. I think I'm just tired of negative stuff. But again, thank you guys for watching. And that's my take on ShxtsnGigs. You guys have a nice day.